Back to our channel. Now we are going to start the superficial fascia of front of thigh. So if you see, mainly it has two layers. One is a superficial fatty layer, this one is a superficial fatty layer, and the second one is the deep membranous layer. So it has mainly two layers, the superficial fatty layer and deep membranous layer. So you can imagine it, whenever you remove the superficial fascia, what you are removing, it's nothing but the first one is a fatty layer and second one is a membranous layer. Okay, we are talking about the front of thigh, right? So these both layers are continuous with corresponding layers of anterior abdominal wall. In front you have the anterior abdominal wall, of course these both layers are continuous with it, and the two layers are most distinct in uppermost part of thigh near the groin, where the cutaneous nerves, vessels, lymph nodes lie between these two layers. So remember, between the fatty layer and between the membranous layer only you can find all the cutaneous nerves, vessels, lymph nodes. Of course we are also going to discuss them in detail. So if you see the membranous layer, it's loosely attached to deep fascia of thigh except near inguinal ligament. So here somewhere over here will be the inguinal ligament. So except at the rate of inguinal ligament, remaining all places the membranous layer will be attached with our deep fascia. Okay, so where it is firmly attached along horizontal line, the line of firm attachment is called Holden's line. So what is Holden's line? For example, you can see this over here at the thigh region. So this, if you draw a line like this is called as Holden line. So Holden line is nothing but it's a firmly attached horizontal line of attachment beginning at little lateral to pubic tubercle. For example, you can see here this is the anterior superior iliac spine and here will be the pubic tubercle. So just side to the pubic tubercle, if you begin this line, okay, this is a horizontal line beginning lateral to pubic tubercle and extend laterally up to the 8 centimeter like this. So this importance of this line is when the urethra is injured in the perineum, urine may flow out of extravasate into interval between like deep to membranous layer of superficial fascia, and this urine can pass up to anterior abdominal wall from where it can enter the upper part of thigh. So what they mean to say, for example, if there is any problem in the urethra, then the urine by means of this line only it can move to the anterior abdominal wall and also it can pass up to the front of thigh. Okay, so firm attachment of membranous layer of superficial fascia to deep fascia along Holden's line prevents urine from descending into thigh beyond this line. So even though if the urine is coming from the urethra, it will not cross this Holden's line. Only up to Holden's line only the urine may pass up to the front of thigh, but will not pass through this other parts. So now we are going to start discussion on cutaneous nerves. Of course, cutaneous nerves are, as we discussed, they are between this fatty layer and membranous layer of a superficial fascia. So the skin of front of thigh is mainly supplied by 7 cutaneous nerves. Let us see what are those, and they are derived directly or indirectly from our lumbar plexus. So in addition to skin over the upper lateral part of the thigh, this one, upper lateral part of the thigh is supplied by lateral cutaneous branch of subcostal nerve. So remember that all of these are coming directly or indirectly from lumbar plexus, but there is an exception especially for the upper lateral part of cutaneous nerves which are derived from the branch of subcostal nerve. Remember, subcostal nerve. So mainly we have the ilioinguinal nerve. So ilioinguinal nerve, actually it will be over here, it's not shown in this diagram, but you can imagine that ilioinguinal, according to name you can see ilium. Ilium means of the hip bone, right? Inguinal means this side. So here will be the ilioinguinal nerve, and it is root value is L1. It is emerging as a superficial inguinal ring. It is emerging as a superficial inguinal ring, supplies the skin of root of penis and over the mons pubis in female, and also anterior one-third of scrotum or labrum, labium majors, and superior medial part of thigh. So the superior medial part of thigh is all supplied by the ilioinguinal nerve. According to the name, you can easily say where the nerve is supplied. Next, coming to femoral branch of genitofemoral nerve. So this diagram is perfect to understand those nerves. As I said just before that the lateral cutaneous branch of subcostal nerve mainly supplies the lateral side, and also you can see here the femoral branch of genitofemoral nerve, this one. About this we are talking now. Its root values L1 and L2. It pierces the femoral sheath and overlying deep fascia below mid-inguinal point. If you remember, this is the mid-inguinal point. So below mid-inguinal point, it pierces the fascia and it supplies most of the skin over the femoral triangle. Of course, here forms a femoral triangle, right? We'll discuss it later about femoral triangle. So the femoral triangle is supplied by genitofemoral nerve, femoral branch of genitofemoral. Here also you can easily guess because genito, here will be some genital area near to it, femoral because it's a thigh region. So genitofemoral nerve. Before we are discuss ilioinguinal nerve, now genitofemoral nerve. Next coming to lateral cutaneous nerve. So of course the lateral cutaneous nerve, this one is the lateral cutaneous nerve of thigh. Here you can see it's mentioned. So this long branch, this one is the lateral cutaneous nerve. According to name, it supplies the lateral part of the thigh. Its root value is L2 and L3 and it's a branch of lumbar plexus emerging behind the lateral end of inguinal ligament. Divide into anterior and posterior branches and supplies skin on anterior lateral side of thigh and also on the anterior part of gluteal region. Of course, it also supplies the anterior part of gluteal region. Okay. And next coming to the intermediate cutaneous nerve. So of course according to the name, the lateral one is lateral most and next comes intermediate in the middle. So intermediate cutaneous nerve of thigh, mainly its root value is L2 and L3. So how to remember root values also very simple according to the name. First one, the first nerve we discuss is ilioinguinal nerve. The ilioinguinal nerve you can see here, this one, ilioinguinal nerve. Its root value is L1. And after that we have discussed the femoral branch of genitofemoral nerve. So in order, first L1, next L1, L2. Next after that again you will come to L2 and L3, that is the lateral cutaneous nerve. And after that now you are coming to the intermediate cutaneous nerve and that is also L2 and L3. So remember that the lateral cutaneous, intermediate cutaneous have the same root value L2 and L3. But whereas ilioinguinal nerve root value is L1. Okay. And coming to our genitofemoral now, L1 and L2. This L2 and L3, lateral cutaneous, even intermediate cutaneous, L2 and L3. So intermediate cutaneous is a branch of anterior division of femoral nerve. It pierces the deep fascia at the junction of upper 1/3 and middle 1/3 of thigh. It divides into 2 or more branches, supply the strip of skin in front of thigh, extending from sartorius to the knee. So you can see from the sartorius muscle, backside you will have sartorius muscle, so from there it will extend up to the knee. So this is an intermediate cutaneous nerve of thigh. Of course the next nerve name you can only guess it out, that is nothing but the medial cutaneous nerve of thigh. So of course first the lateral, next the intermediate, next the medial. So medial is medial most nerve. You can see its root value again same L2 and L3. So remember lateral, intermediate, medial cutaneous nerves root values are same L2 and L3. Ilioinguinal one is L1 and this genitofemoral one is L1 and L2. So see these are all the cutaneous nerve which are supplying the front of thigh, and remember they are present in superficial fascia between the fatty layer and the membranous layer, right? So this medial cutaneous nerve is also a branch of anterior division of femoral nerve. It also divides into anterior and posterior division. This nerve mainly supplies the skin on medial side of lower 2/3 of thigh and also of course the upper 1/3 of the thigh. So this part is supplied by this medial cutaneous nerve of thigh. Now coming to another another cutaneous nerve, that is the saphenous nerve. You can see here, this is the infrapatellar branch of saphenous nerve. So its root value is L3 and L4. So till now we discussed all the lateral, intermediate, medial cutaneous nerve root values L2 and L3, right? So this is L3 and L4. So it is a branch of posterior division of femoral nerve. So these are all the branches of anterior division of femoral nerve, whereas this one is a posterior division of femoral nerve. It pierces the deep fascia on medial side of knee, run down in front of great saphenous vein. You can see this is a great saphenous vein, so in front it is running, right, and supplies the skin on medial side of leg and also on medial side of foot up to the ball of big toe. So up to the big toe, you know, that side it supplies. Okay, now before piercing the deep fascia, the saphenous nerve gives off infrapatellar branch. So before piercing only it is giving an infrapatellar branch. You can see here, this is an infrapatellar branch of saphenous nerve. Okay, and which runs downward laterally, supplies skin over ligamentum patellae. If you know the ligamentum patellae, it is attaching up from the patella bone and it is getting inserted on tibial tuberosity. We already discussed about that. So it also supplies that. Sometimes a cutaneous branch of anterior division of obturator nerve. So anterior division of obturator nerve. So here you can see it is mentioned the cutaneous branch of obturator nerve. So sometimes this is also having root value of L2 and L3. It supplies the skin of lower 1/3 of medial side of thigh in common with the medial cutaneous nerve. So along with the medial cutaneous nerve, it supplies the medial side of the thigh. So this is all about the different nerves. So what are the nerves you have seen? Once again let us revise. First one is ilioinguinal nerve and its root value is L1. Next comes the genitofemoral nerve. Its root value is L2 and L1 and L2, right? Next comes the lateral cutaneous nerve, intermediate cutaneous nerve, medial cutaneous nerve. These three are having a root value of L2 and L3, and even the cutaneous branch of obturator nerve also on the medial side have the same root value L2 and L3. Coming to the saphenous nerve, it have the root value of L3 and L4. So these are all the cutaneous nerves along with their root values. Now let us discuss what is called as patellar plexus of nerves. So of course, according to name you can guess it. Patellar plexus means the plexus of nerves which is forming around the patella bone. Patella bone, it forms at the rate of our knee joint. So it is a plexus of fine nerve situated in front of patella, that is the ligamentum patellae, and also upper end of tibia. It is formed by contribution from the anterior division of lateral cutaneous nerve. So if you see the lateral cutaneous nerve, its anterior division forms it, okay, and also the intermediate cutaneous nerve, and also the anterior division of medial cutaneous nerve, and also the infrapatellar branch of saphenous nerve. So what is the question now is, what are the nerves which are participating in patellar plexus? Very easy. First comes the lateral cutaneous nerve of the thigh. Next comes the intermediate cutaneous nerve, especially lateral cutaneous nerve anterior branch. Next comes the intermediate cutaneous nerve, and next comes the saphenous nerve, and also comes the anterior division of medial cutaneous nerve. So anterior division of lateral cutaneous nerve, anterior division of medial cutaneous nerve, intermediate cutaneous nerve, and also the saphenous nerve. So all this together form the patellar plexus around the patella. Next, coming to the cutaneous arteries. Of course, cutaneous arteries are also present in our, you can see here some of the arteries, red color they are mentioned. So of course, cutaneous arteries are also present in superficial fascia. There are small arteries mainly arising from the femoral artery, okay. They are arising just below the inguinal ligament. You can see this is the inguinal ligament. So just below it, these arteries are arising. The first one is the superficial external pudendal artery. So you can see this is the superficial external pudendal artery. Okay, this mainly pierces the cibriform fascia. It runs medially in front of spermatic cord and it supplies the external genitalia. So this superficial external pudendal, in the name itself you can see external pudendal, means it's supplying the external genitalia. And one more important thing is it pierces the cibriform. You can see here it is piercing the cibriform fascia. Okay. And next, coming to the superficial epigastric artery. This one is a superficial epigastric artery. It pierces the cibriform fascia, run towards the umbilicus and supplies the lower part of anterior abdominal wall. So according to the name you can see epigastric. Gastric means it's related to abdomen. So this supplies the abdomen. So according to the name of the artery only, it supplies it. One thing to remember about cutaneous arteries is they are piercing the cibriform fascia. Okay. So superficial external pudendal artery supplies the external genitalia. Superficial epigastric artery supplies the anterior abdominal wall by going up to the umbilicus. And next you have the superficial circumflex iliac artery. So this one is the superficial circumflex iliac artery, and this is mainly piercing, again this pierces the fascia latra, which is lateral to saphenous opening, runs upwards below inguinal ligament and anastomose. You can see it will anastomose with anterior superior iliac spine. So that's why you can see this artery is going up to anterior superior iliac spine. So it will anastomose with that, and with the deep circumflex iliac, superior gluteal and lateral circumflex femoral artery. So it is anastomosing with three arteries. What are those? Once again let us revise. It goes below upwards the inguinal ligament, anastomose with anterior superior iliac spine, mainly with deep circumflex iliac. Of course here the iliac bone is present, so we can remember like the deep circumflex iliac artery. Superior gluteal, because this is a gluteal superior region, so superior gluteal, and also lateral circumflex femoral, because this is lateral side femoral. So very simple to remember. So total three arteries. One is of course the lateral femoral artery, and next comes the deep iliac circumflex arteries, and next comes the superior gluteal artery. So these are the three arteries which anastomose with this superior circumflex iliac artery. So superior circumflex iliac artery anastomose with this. So very simple, there are only three cutaneous arteries. One is superficial external pudendal, which supplies external genitalia. Next you have the superficial epigastric artery, right, which supplies the anterior abdominal wall. And of course the next one is superficial circumflex iliac artery, which goes up to the anterior superior iliac spine, and it anastomoses in turn with three arteries. One is the deep circumflex iliac artery, another one is the lateral femoral artery, and one more is superior gluteal artery. So it's time to discuss about the great saphenous vein. So this blue long vein which you see is the great saphenous vein. It's the largest, longest superficial vein of the lower vein. Saphenous means the meaning is which is easily seen. That's why the name saphenous. Of course, it's also present in superficial fascia. It begins on dorsum of foot from the medial end of dorsal venous arch. Actually, not this side. If you see on your dorsum of foot, dorsum means like which is seen from above on anatomical position. Plantar means which you put your leg on your foot, that side is a plantar side, the above side is the dorsum side. So there we have an arch called dorsus venous arch. So from there on the medial side of the foot it starts, this great saphenous vein. So it is traveling from the dorsum of foot from medial end of dorsal venous arch and runs upward in front of medial meiosis along the medial side of leg and behind the knee. Next, in the thigh, it inclines forward to reach saphenous opening. You can see this is a saphenous opening. So it reaches the saphenous opening in the thigh anterior compartment, right? And it pierces the cribriform fascia and opens into the femoral vein. So finally, it opens into the femoral vein after piercing this cribriform fascia here. So next, before piercing the cribriform fascia, it receives three named tributaries. So it receives three tributaries corresponding to three cutaneous arteries and also many unnamed tributaries. So it mainly contains 10 to 15 valves which prevent backflow of venous blood, which tends to occur because of gravity. One valve is always present at saphenio-femoral junction. That would be here, saphenio-femoral junction. Incompetence of this valve makes the vein dilated, tortuous, leading to varicose veins. So actually these valves, veins are having 10 to 15 valves because to prevent the flow of blood as this blood is flowing against the gravity. So to prevent the flow of blood towards the gravity, so these valves are always present. So if these valves are having any problem, it will lead to varicose veins and dilatation of these veins. So the vein is connected to deep veins of the limb mainly by perforating veins, and there are three medial perforators above the ankle and one perforator below the knee. So three perforators above the ankle and one perforator just below the knee. Here one perforator will be here. Okay, so these perforators are connecting this superficial vein to deep veins. So perforating veins are also provided with valves which permit flow of blood only from superficial to deep veins. Failure of these valves also rises to varicose vein. So always whenever there is varicose veins means there is dilatation of veins because of failure of valves. Next, coming to superficial inguinal lymph nodes. We'll discuss that in the diagram. So in this diagram, if you observe, you can find out the superficial inguinal lymph nodes. They are mainly variable in number and size, and their arrangement is like T-shaped. You can see like a T-shaped, and there being lower vertical group, there's lower vertical group and upper two horizontal groups. So the upper nodes can be subdivided into upper lateral and upper medial. So this upper medial, this is upper lateral, and they are described. So these are three groups of superficial inguinal lymph nodes: the upper lateral, upper medial, lower vertical. So they are forming T shape. Next, coming to subcutaneous bursa, you can see here different types of bursa. Actually, bursa are lubricating mechanism which are provided at the sites of friction to smoothen the movement. Undue pressure on them may cause pathological enlargement, and bursa present in relation to patella are described here. So mainly here there is the patella, right? So there are different bursa around the patella. All these are discussing now. So patellar bursa, first you have the pre-patellar bursa. You can see this one is a pre-patellar bursa. It lies in front of lower part of patella and of upper part of ligamentum patellae. So first we need to see where is ligamentum patellae. This is ligamentum patellae. So it is this prepatellar bursa is present in upper part of ligamentum patellae and the lower part of patella, and this chronic enlargement of this bursa is called housemaid's knee because it commonly occurs in housemaids of western countries who kneel for cleaning floors. Infection of this bursa is common in minors called beat knee. So it is called housemaid's knee or beat knee because of working when you are cleaning the floor. There is a pressure on this prepatellar bursa and it may lead to inflammation. So this is about prepatellar bursa, just above the ligamentum patellae and lower to the patella. Next, coming to subcutaneous infrapatellar bursa. So this is a subcutaneous infrapatellar bursa. It is lying in front of lower part of tibial tuberosity. Here is a tibial tuberosity. So lower part of tibial tuberosity and lower part of ligamentum patellae. It is sometimes enlarged in clergymen and the condition is known as clergyman's knee. Clergyman is a Christian priest who often kneels down during prayer. So whenever you are kneeling down for the prayer, then also this bursa may always get affected. So just remember, when you're cleaning floor, prepatellar bursa will get inflamed, called housemaids or beat knee. Next, coming to subcutaneous infrapatellar bursa, it gets affected when you kneel down for prayers. So for prayers, subcutaneous infrapatellar bursa. For cleaning, prepatellar bursa are affected. So these are about different bursa. You can also observe the suprapatellar bursa, which is above the patella, hence the name suprapatellar bursa. Prepatellar bursa because it is friend to the patella, so prepatellar bursa. Next you have deep infrapatellar bursa. Infrapatellar because inside the ligamentum patellae you have it, so deep infrapatellar bursa. Next, coming to subcutaneous infrapatellar. Infra means lower, so lower to ligamentum patellae, so subcutaneous infrapatellar bursa. Why subcutaneous? You can feel it. So this is all about different bursas, and also of course you have the vastus intermediate muscle here, and this is a patella, right? Here is the patella, here is the femur, here is the tibia. So this is all about our superficial fascia. Next we'll discuss about the deep fascia of front of thigh.